guys, welcome back to Vince Vale Custom. So today we're doing a garage kit review on this Exodus statue. Get ready to start priming and painting this up and everything. So figure we'll give you guys a rundown on the whole entire kit. So it is an Exodus statue. This is basically Magneto's right-hand man in the comics. At least that's kind of how I remember him. I pretty much only read him around the the 90s era. Don't really know much more about him. It was sculpted by Victor Hugo Oliveira. Produced by, I guess it's Alpha Omega. I think that's who it is. So this is number 70 of 20. Really great sculpt. Probably just been going through it now, kind of getting everything pretty much ready. What I'll be doing is I'll be wiping all this down with some alcohol, get it all nice and cleaned up, and start priming it all up. But we'll kind of go over everything. I was ready to start working on this past weekend, but I remember that the client said what happened was the company had to send out a replacement for this because there were some issues with like stability. So this is the left leg and everything that came with it, and the problem with this one is I think he leans a little too forward, and this piece, when you have this in the base, it kind of wobbles. So this piece is been replaced, so this is the old one. We'll get this out of the way, which is kind of good though. Some of these fan art items that people do, if there's ever an issue or something, they kind of, I guess some actually do take the time and they do repair it or they send out replacements. And I haven't really heard too many stories of people not doing that, but I've heard other people where they open up their kit like a couple months later or something happens and stuff. So I'm not really sure, but the other piece actually goes over here. So you can see all these clear pieces sort of come off the base. So I talked to the client, we kind of brainstormed some stuff when he dropped it off. We're going to make this really durable and solid. The idea is, if you were to do this, and say you're the type of person where you're going to keep it for a while, then you might sell it off, or if you're worried about moving down the line, or sometimes everybody in the hobby, we get to a point where sometimes you change your collection, you want to sell it off, sometimes other stuff comes out, you want more. So I talked to them, I said, do you want me to keep all this parts like removable, or do you want to keep everything nice and sturdy? So basically he says that he doesn't really care about the base and all that stuff as long as it's looks good and everything. So he's never pretty much selling it. So this is the replacement part that we got up for the flames, and now I'm realizing this piece doesn't go in too well, whereas the other one did go in very well. So I'm not really sure what's going on with this. So I'm going to have to actually probably grind some of this piece down. The other base, it fit in pretty well. So I think it's hitting, sort of hitting something. Not really sure. Yeah, it's not. Alright, so that's something we're going to have to correct. So this piece goes right there. So we're going to have to correct that piece. There's a little chip here. I see. This piece is not big and I see what's going on. It's not flush. I see. Okay, so I have to grind down this little piece over here. Okay, not a problem. We'll fix that up. The flames are going to be attached. We're going to have all this nice and attached and everything at the end. So usually the base, I do that stuff at the end. So we're going out. Now, there's a rod in this foot. I'm not going to pop this out because it was a little bit tricky to get the rod in there. I have to actually sand the rod and kind of clean it up a bit so it goes nice and smooth in and out of the base. So that's something I got to work on. So let's kind of go over the kit. We'll kind of look at all the parts and everything. So one of the things about kits like this is I don't like. Well, I understand why they do it, but me as building a kit, giving it to somebody, I wouldn't want it to be all magnetized. So you can see this leg is magnetized. This torso is magnetized, and everything goes into this key here. So let's make sure that this goes in there like so. Alright, so that goes in really well. So it's looking pretty good. Sorry we're doing this in the garage, but it's a big kit and I got to start working on it. So my problem is if you have this on your stand and you keep everything magnetized, it's wobbly. See how it's very wobbly? And say you go to clean one day or you do something or blah blah blah, you grab it the wrong way, everything could fall apart. Now the other problem is magnets over time can lose their power. These are magnets that you get over in China and stuff, and you never know. And then what can happen is this item, this leg, kind of pop out at you. So I'm going to attach, this whole body is going to be solid by the time we're done. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know how I work with all that. But the sculpt is great, nice detail. you can see everything that's looking pretty good there. So he does have two arms, two right arms. I'll make sure we're in the camera. Let me get you back a little bit. So he has two right arms. Now, the thing about these right arms, these pieces are magnetized. So either I can leave these magnetized or I can not leave them magnetized. The client says he doesn't really care. So as I paint this up, I'll figure it out. So the arm goes in like that, really nice, and then you have the two shoulder pads. So the breakdown of this kit is good. I really do like the breakdown. I think they did a really good job on it. The only problem about it is there's a lot of magnets in his shoulders. So, you know, if you wanted to make this right arm magnetized, it would be hard because you have a magnet here, then you would have a magnet there and a magnet here, and you would have too many magnets going in different directions, the arms might pop out. So that's why I guess they only put a rod in the arm. But it does hold up pretty well, so that's good. So I'm not really too worried about that. I did tell the client that one of the things is if you're going to be swapping out parts, especially over here on the shoulders with the cape, what will happen is you will be scratching some paint here and there. So if you're putting it on the wrong way or it's not lining up correctly or whatever you're doing, you can scratch some paint. So he is aware of that. And then you see how he's wobbly without it being solid, and I'm kind of like wobbling him. That's a bad thing, you know, especially when you put the cape on. If I can get the cape on correctly. It's kind of a little bit, not really a super tight fit. See? Yeah, see, this is stuff I'm going to have to kind of go over. So that doesn't really fit in there too well right as of now. So I'm going to have to probably do a little tweaking. So we'll just take off those for now. We'll put the cape on. Hopefully that's just a problem. Maybe it's the shoulder pads. No, it's not the shoulder pads. It's actually a really tight fit in the torso. Okay, so that goes on pretty well. So now that we have the cape on him, right, I can actually see that the body's being pulled here when it should be up a little bit over this way. So that's kind of a little bit of an issue with that. But the sculpt is really good. Really, really good sculpt. So we'll go on to the head. So we can see the head. Head is looking pretty good. Really great sculpt with the head. Love the hair sculpt. Hair sculpt's looking pretty good. We have a lot of little pieces here in the bag. We're not going to pull those out yet. But what I will do is, this is not magnetized, but this is the piece that goes on top of there, like so. But this will be attached at the end. So this way you don't have to worry about all that. And then of course the head's magnetized and goes in like so. So really, really great sculpt. Really brings me back to the, you know, the 90s of the X-Men stuff. Really great sculpt and everything like that. Really great detail. And we have a lot of other parts over here and there. So, you know, pretty much it's going to be a little tricky. Now, I think this piece is the piece that goes in front here. And I'm not sure if that's magnetized. It might be. If not, I might actually turn around and magnetize that for him, since I'm going to be taking out the magnets in the waist area. So I'll have to figure that out when I get to it. We do have the left arm hand right there. Let's see, let's make sure this goes in and doesn't hit the cape or anything. Right. Oh, okay. Wrong. Okay, so we don't hit. All right, looks good. Really, really great sculpt. Really bad. That's a really good sculpt. That's really well done. Now, one thing I am always concerned about is legs. You know, I'm pretty sure this rod goes up to the ankle. The only problem is I don't think I can take out that rod and everything, but I will add a good rod up in here. So that should be fine with that. And then I told the client, I said, one of the things that you have to worry about is this piece. This back piece on him. This is going to be a very tricky piece. You got to be very fragile with this thing. So it goes between the back of his thing into his back. So it's just going to have to sit there and stay. I can't add another magnet into that, but it's got enough of a key and stuff that it goes in pretty well. So this is going to be fine when you pop that in. I really don't think I could do it any other way without adding another magnet and causing all kinds of problems. Other than that, it's pretty much ready to go. Really great kit. I like it a lot. It's going to be a real fun paint up. Now, the one thing I did mention to the client too was the cape. It's a very white cape. The rest of the outfit's different, you know, colors. For some reason, I always used to think that his outfit was white and his cape was dark, but I got mixed match because it's been a long time. So I said with the cape, I said instead of keeping it pure white, why don't we do a little bit of weathering at the bottom of the cape, you know? Maybe, so he's thinking about it's going to get back to me, just so that, you know, a bright white cape, if you're messing around with it and stuff and anything happens, at least the cape kind of is a little bit dirty and not perfectly white and looks a little bit worn, might kind of help him out a little bit too. I almost thought this flame over here was hitting the cape, but it was an illusion. It's actually in front of it. Okay, so that's pretty much the Exodus. Just straightforward. Got all my parts. Got everything ready. He's a really tall character, and I think out of everything, looking at him now all together, I like the idea that his base is very, very small. It's not a very big base. It's not going to take up the whole collection. He looks like, you know, a really good companion piece if you have Magneto just like this. So this is going to be a fun paint-up. So, not the best garage kit review in the world, I know, but just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on all the details on the shoulder pads, the arms, the outfit. And okay, one last thing about the outfit, and I was actually thinking about this too. There is texture, but then there isn't texture. And I like that. I like the idea that the outfit has a little bit of texture on it, but then it doesn't. I'm really kind of not liking the idea of everything is being texturized on every character being sculpted now. I like the idea that it's got that comic book feel a little bit where there is some, and then there is some texture, but then there's not. So I kind of always encourage people that if you're going to do a 3D sculpt, sometimes keeping it simple and the anatomy and the pose is dynamic instead of focusing on just texturizing everything. If the character works like this and he's got that nice strong feel to him, he's a badass, you're not really worried about the texture. You're looking at the pose and you're like, that's a badass pose and he looks like he's got power to him. Whereas if you do a mediocre sculpt or you're doing all that texture stuff, it kind of takes it away. That's kind of just a little bit of a preference to me, but really great sculpt. Okay, so that's pretty much the review. I'll probably start working on this soon once I get it all cleaned up. I'll probably maybe even work on it when I'm doing some live streams here and there during the week once I get it all prepped up and ready to go. So we'll see how this goes over the next couple weeks. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.